When your pastor, who is also your dad, asks you to speak, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And every time I went to call him to tell him, no, Dad, I don't think I can get up there and do that, I just had this pit feeling in my stomach. I told the Lord that 2024 was my year of whatever you ask me to do, Lord, I won't say no. So here we are. But I really do appreciate my dad for trusting me and giving me this opportunity to speak to you all today. Before I get started, I just wanted to wish my mom a happy Mother's Day. She's the best person I've ever met in my life, the best Christian. And I'm so honored to be your daughter. Like I said, I don't claim to be a preacher, so I hope you aren't expecting some rah type of message today, but rather another simple mom who just gets it, who just wants to encourage another mom. If I could give this a title, it would be A Blessing in the Struggle. And man, doesn't motherhood feel like that sometimes, a struggle, especially in the early years, sometimes more like World War III. To give a little backstory about me, I was never supposed to have children. I was told by a doctor when I was 18 that because of some health issues I was dealing with, that I was probably never going to be able to carry a child of my own. All I have ever wanted to be since I could remember was to be a mom. So hearing that absolutely shattered my world. When Jonathan and I started dating, I was very upfront honest with him about this. I said, hey, this is what they told me. This is why they said this. This is what I got. And all he said was, okay, well, God showed me that I will have children of my own, and I know I'm going to marry you, so we're just going to trust the Lord. And I was just shell-shocked. How could he be so calm about this? I was terrified, and I remember sitting in the car just panicking. Side note, for all my single ladies out there, find you a man that with that much confidence in the Lord that when you drop a bomb like that, he won't even be fazed because his walk with God is so much stronger than any doctor's opinions. So as time went on, we got married in 2020, and 8 months later, surprise, surprise, we found out we were pregnant with Matthew, and he was born December 2021, our little Christmas baby. That little boy that you see running around, screaming all the time, he's our miracle baby, an answer to prayer, a living answer that God hears and sees the tears you cry at night to hold a little one in your arms. I'm speaking myself on this as well. If you are here and you are facing infertility, I speak peace over your mind and healing to come into your womb. Jesus, by his stripes, we are healed, and Jesus is the great physician, and he has the final say. When Matthew was born, I was consumed by him. I was so obsessed with this perfect baby boy that I was given. But soon I realized that there was this overwhelming weight of pressure that came with being a mom. Not only does everyone need you all the time, at the same time, but you're always feeling like you're never doing enough or not doing the right things. I remember the first 6 months of his life, I never felt more alone. I was losing myself in motherhood, but I realized the more I lost myself, the more I was clinging to Jesus. And the more I was clinging to Jesus, the more he was revealing to me who I was and what my true purpose was. I was hit with all the bad things of postpartum, really, really bad, on top of having a baby during COVID and having to be so isolated from everything and everyone. The only thing that could settle my restless heart was having constant worship music on in the background. You can ask my family, you can ask Jonathan. James Wilson was constantly playing in my house all day long, every day. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was slowly sowing seeds into my son's heart. While his mama was trying to stay afloat, I was slowly teaching my son who to run to when you're broken, when you're tired, when you don't know what to do. I was teaching my son to fall at the feet of Jesus. I came to the understanding that above all else, I wanted my son to know who Jesus was. Even though it was hard, we tried our best to make it to every single service if he wasn't sick, which was a lot in his first year of life. Anytime the church doors were open, we were there. I would bring him in his stroller to ladies' prayer. I would bring him to music practice. I would even bring him to the church just to sit in the sanctuary while Karina and my mom worked in the office during the week. But I wanted him to love this place as much as I did. And even though there were and there still are times where it feels like, what's the point of even going? All I ever do is sit in the nursery, or I have to take him out because he's crying, or because, quite honestly, we're having a come to Jesus meeting. Keep coming. Keep being consistent. They will eventually learn. They will eventually get the hang of things, and they will want to be here too. How do I know this? Because my son loves to sing worship songs at home. He loves to pray for me and Jonathan, and he loves to raise his hands and pray at the altar in general. And anytime we leave the house, Mommy, we going to church? We going to church? And I'd rather him be that way than not at all. Motherhood is your ministry. Rocking and feeding your baby in that nursery is your ministry. Before I am anything else in this church, I am that little boy's mom. That is who God has entrusted me with to get to heaven. If they are being loud or crying, who cares? If they happen to run down the aisle or throw toys in the air, who cares? All that matters is that they are in the house of God, seeing their mom and their dad worship the Lord. Don't worry about what someone might say because they get too loud or rowdy. Pastor has said this many times. He would rather have a church full of crying babies than none at all. Let me just add this too. If there's anyone that does have a problem with screaming babies or kids running around, maybe to try helping that mom out. Try asking to hold the baby so she can either listen to the sermon or even just get a little bit of a break. Try keeping a special toy or treat in your pocket or in your purse to try to help settle the kids down. Just be thankful they are actually there. What better place for them to be than in the house of God? Your kids and your home is your mission field. Although it may seem draining doing the same things over and over and over every single day, try to find joy in the mundane things. And I'm definitely talking to myself. But what may seem like a regular day thing could turn into, Lord, as I'm folding laundry for the 100th time today, I pray that you anoint Matthew when he puts this shirt on. I pray that you protect him and that you keep him safe. As I pick up his favorite shoes today, I pray that you anoint his feet and you bless his footsteps. I pray that you guide him all the days of his life. As I throw away his lunch that he barely ate, I pray that you protect his body, keep him from all disease. And as I pick up 1,000,000 dinosaurs in my living room, I pray that you anoint his hands and that everything that he touched would prosper. Because that's what matters, Mom, is that they know who Jesus is. You may feel like you're not doing enough or you're not enough, but let me tell you, you were handpicked by God for that little one. So in God's eyes, you are the perfect mom. I know it gets hard, but don't give up. Keep bringing them to the feet of Jesus because there's blessings in your struggles. God bless you.
Happy Mother's Day. So, I'm emotional. I brought my own Kleenex because I'm not going to make it through this without crying. But first, I would like to thank Pastor and Sister Bishop for allowing me to speak to you all today, whether I wanted to or not. I was one that was very nervous. And when Sister Bishop called, I told her, well, can I pray about it? And I said, honestly, I'm pretty sure Jesus is telling me no. Which she replied, he tells me no all the time. But after I hung up, all I could hear was Sister Frances in my head. As a young teenager, she told me, if you're asked to do anything in ministry, then you need to do it. So I reluctantly texted the next day and said, okay, I'll do it. So thank you for having faith in me when I don't have it in myself. I am not a public speaker. There is a reason that I deal with children. I can act stupid, and they don't care. My words don't have to be right, and they don't care. They think it's funny, and they love me for it. So I'm here to talk about life as a mother with a teenager. It's hard, that's all. I want to say right now publicly, as a mom now of a teenager, I am sorry, Mom. I am sorry, Aunt Judy. I'm sorry, Uncle Carl, for everything. But at this point in my life, I find myself looking back on Micah's life. It's bittersweet. I look back and I think about the times that he used to mispronounce words, and I miss it. He used to call his fingers his tingers. Or the way his innocence, when he would be in the playground and he'd just walk up to somebody and get right in their face, I mean in their face, and say, "You want to be my friend?" And they'd say yes, and he'd come back and, Mommy, they're my friend. Oh, what's their name? I don't know. That child has best friends all over the place and doesn't know their names. Or the way he would get so excited when he would learn something new and he would get interested in it. He loved trains. I mean, kind of an unnatural attachment to trains at a very young age. And my mom found this train encyclopedia. It was not meant for little kids. He was probably like 3, somewhere around there. Words that he did not understand, I can guarantee. He didn't read. But without fail, any time that we would read to him, it was either a book about trains called Toodles, which was about a locomotive that was in train school, or the train encyclopedia. And if we weren't reading it to him, he'd sit there and go through the book, just page by page, and just the look on his face, just soaking all of the pictures in. And when he got a little older, we took him on a train ride, and he was just so excited and explaining every little aspect of how that train worked. But those are memories now. He doesn't talk about trains anymore. You talk to him, it's going to be video games, guys, which I don't know nothing about, so. But now, I also look back and I miss the days of him playing church in the prayer room when we have praise team practice with the other kids. I miss the Sunday school dramas that he was a part of. I miss kids' service where he would sometimes sing, sometimes he would read Bible verses, and occasionally he preached. But now I get to watch him walk around here, take pictures. I get to watch him as he learns media. I watch him as he helps in Sunday school and in children's ministry, and as he's helping in Elisha. But it hasn't been easy, has it? He's smiling. I'm crying. He's smiling, guys. It hasn't been easy. I won't get into the whys because that's his story. And one day, when he's comfortable, maybe he'll share that with you. But that's his testimony. But as a mom of a teenager, sometimes they go through things that you didn't have to face as a teenager. Or maybe they have to face something that you face, but they face it differently. Maybe it's harder because of the world that we live in. There were times that I think that we all felt like sometimes it just wasn't going to end. Sometimes it was dark and lonely and long. But because of those times, we learned that we could come together. We learned that we could lean into Jesus. Fully lean into Jesus. And as a mom, if you're a mom of any child of any age, you know it hurts when your child hurts. When your child is going through something, you want to take it away. We're the nurturers. We want to put a Band-Aid on it. We want the pain to go away. But sometimes you can't do that. Only Jesus can do it. But there's precious times in that also. While they're going through it, God's molding them and making them into what He wants them to be. Some things I've learned in our teenage years. Let them be who they are. I'm not saying this in the context of the world. I know nowadays it's let them be who they are, whatever they feel they are. That's not what I'm talking about. But God designed each one of us the way He wanted us to be. And so many times when we have a child who might be a little bit different than what we consider norm, we try to change them. We want them to be like that one, or why don't you do it this way? That's not how God designed them. So encourage that. Encourage that uniqueness. Listen to them. Don't just talk at them. And I'm talking to myself here still to this day. Listen to him. He's over here shaking his head. As a mama, we're trying to guide them, right? So sometimes we try to guide them a little more than we listen. But it's important to listen to them. Be their safe place. Let them know that whatever goes on in their life, they can come to you. Be their biggest fan, no matter what it is. Even if he wins a video game. All right, buddy, I don't care. But you do, and so way to go. Do ministry with them. Get involved in something and bring them with you. But don't just make it all about church. Do stuff outside of church with them. They need to know that they have identity outside of church too. You can't just keep them in here. Well, I would love to. There's an outside world that needs to be reached, and we keep them in here and we keep them sheltered in here. They're not going to know how to reach them out there. Have fun with them and make memories, because this time is short. Whether your child is a baby or a teenager, it's short. Let them know how much they are loved. Teenagers, a lot of times, don't want you to show them love. Not mine. I have to say, Micah hugs me multiple times a day. I'll be doing dishes and he wants me to hug him. I'll be trying to do something else, make dinner, and he wants me to hug him. But it's important. Let them know they're loved. Even if they are pushing you away, they need to know that they're loved. Show them grace. When they make a mistake, show them grace. Mistakes happen. And that's okay, because we're human, and that's why we have God. But show yourself grace as well. As moms, I know me anyway, I tend to, when I make a mistake concerning Micah, I will beat myself up. I can think of 500 reasons why that one little mistake that I made is going to ruin his life forever. But that's when I turn to God and I say, you know what? I need you to fill in the gaps where I have fallen short. I think the most important thing, though, that I've learned in this season, which I call my middle motherhood, is prayer. Pray over your kids. Pray with your kids. Pray for their present. Pray for their future. Pray for their friends. Their friends are important in their lives. They need friends that they can turn to that are godly and understand when they need a shoulder to lean on. Pray for their future spouses. I have prayed for Micah's future spouse, although he tells me he's never getting married. But I've prayed for his future spouse since the day I found out I was pregnant with him. There is a reason for that, but that's a whole nother story. Pray over their minds. Pray over their walk with God. Pray for their ministries, whether they're in a ministry now or their future ministries. Pray for a desire and a hunger that outweighs yours, that it is stronger than what you have. And when you feel like all those prayers are going unheard, remember 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Pray without ceasing, because your prayers are not unheard, and they'll be answered in God's time.
First, I want to say something that some women are really, it has nothing to do with anything, but some women are so afraid for anybody to know how old they are. I am thankful. I'm 85. I'll be 86 years old next month. Friday, we were married 66 years. And when Dee and I were dating, a minister and his wife came to me and told me not to marry him, that it would never work. It would never last. Well, I'm kind of thinking now it might last. Okay, now we can go on. I prayed about this, and I Didn't know exactly how I could go. All I know is my life. Not anybody else as a mother, but my life. And the word that kept coming to me was trust. 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 And while we were shaking hands and visiting today, Brother James was talking to him, and he mentioned the word trust. And I thought, God, I heard from you, and I know I did. And it might go a little different, but this is my testimony. In Psalms 91 and 2, it says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him I will trust. Life is a circle. You come into the world as a baby. Couldn't do that without a mama. You come as a baby, then you grow, you're more a child, then a teenager. You start dating, you become a bride, you become a wife. You might become a grandmother, and you might become a great-grandmother. And at this point, I'm all that. A great-grandmother, I'm all those that I said. But what a joy it was the first time that you held that baby in your arms. The first time that you were called grandma. And you went with it. You loved it. You loved every bit of it. You enjoyed life. You enjoyed what was going on. And then in our life comes road bumps as you get older. Your children you have raised, they get married, they have their children. They have their grandchildren. They're busy. Their life is busy. As their children grow, our grandchildren, they're involved with their lives. And who do they forget? Grandma and grandpa. And sometimes it hurts, but you have to go on because their lives are busy now. And life goes on. And I'm going to have to go through this because my brain doesn't work all the time. But in the roadblocks that come, like the roadblocks come in our lives, things that we never expected. You think you have your life planned out. No, you don't. No, you don't have your life planned out. Your life is planned out by the Maker, by our Savior. And you learn through the bumps, the roadblocks, you learn to trust. If you've never trusted before, you're going to learn to trust in Him. It's going to be your life. You're going to have to learn it, and every one of you here are going to have to learn. The word trust is so important, and to trust, not to trust each other, but your main trust is in Him, our Maker. We have had roadblocks. We have had a lot of roadblocks that we didn't expect. But what you do with those roadblocks, you take them. God gave them to you, and He knew that you could do it because He trusted you with what He gave for you. You can handle it. You think you can't. I've heard so many people say, He's put on me more than I can bear. No, I think you're still here. At times we felt like, God, I can't bear anymore. But I have, because I'm still here. Today I thought, I'm not trying to be a woman preacher with her little handkerchief. This was my mother's. This was my mother's handkerchief. I wanted to bring it with me. Because I had a pain in my leg. I had a praying grandmother that was a minister. I was privileged to be raised in church. When we were born, we were almost raised on the Pentecostal bench. Seriously, I had a twin brother, and we were seriously almost raised on the Pentecostal bench, which I am so thankful. But then, as the circle comes, and you go through life, then you get a little older, and things start changing again. And all of a sudden, you're becoming the child. We raised 3 daughters. We had good daughters. We loved them. They all became busy with their own lives. They had struggles that Dad and Mom had to go through the struggles with them. But then the circle of life comes. And Dee and I are in the latter circle of that life. And now our daughters that are left, we lost one, but our daughters that are left, now it's, Mom, don't you need to rest? Mom, don't do too much. Mom, Dad, don't answer the phone if you don't know who it is. When somebody's at the door, don't go to the door and open the door to a stranger. Listen, sir, don't open the door to a stranger. I had one of my daughters say, Mother, you cannot go to this certain store that I loved. It was a 99-cent store on Hammer Lane. She says, you cannot go there anymore. Why? She said, it's a dangerous place to go. So I never went again. As long as she lived, I never went there by myself, but I went to all the other ones. But I didn't go to that one. So they start, they come and they start bossing you. And you have to graciously say, we know. We're not dumb. We know how it is. We know this world is different. And with you raising children now, pray. Pray, because it's a whole different world than when we were raising children. I think that one of the worst things our girls did, well, some of them, was when they left the house to go to school. When Mom and Dad wasn't no longer there, they just rolled their band on their skirt up a little bit so it'd be a little bit shorter. And that, I don't know, I'm sure they did things. I know they did things that they didn't tell us. But I still trusted them. They were our girls. You trust your children. They can't always be trusted, let me tell you that. But you trust them. You're not supposed to talk to strangers. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. But now I've got one of my daughters every Thursday. She's got her hands full with her grandchildren. Every Thursday, though, she has time for Mama. And she comes sometimes to visit, and I make her special coffee with that little cup with the creamer in it and the whipped cream on top. And that's their special thing. That's what I've done for all my girls. That's their special drink. And this week I was privileged for my granddaughter that will be 10 this month to fix her special drink for her. And my daughter let me know that she already wants to come and visit great-grandma. And she said, Mom, I don't know if it's because she wants to see you or if she wants that little cup of coffee that she And I'm sure it's probably that little cup of coffee. But God hears you when you ask for simple things. Yesterday I was, can't say real stressed, but you know, you go there. And I just said, God, if I just had a piece of my favorite C's candy, I would be happy. Well, last night I got a call, and it was my son-in-law and his new wife, the one that took the place of our daughter, and 4 of our great-grands. They said, can we come over for a little while? And I said, sure. They came over, and they brought a bouquet of flowers, they brought a beautiful car, and they brought a whole box of seed candy. And it wasn't just one they picked off the shelf, because they had it special made. My son-in-law had 3/4 of it with my favorite piece of C's candy. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, because you all might think rum is bad for you. But so I won't tell you what it is. But anyway, he said, Mom, I remembered your favorite candy. And I told him, I said, God heard me. I just wanted one piece today that would satisfy me. And now I've got almost a whole box. God hears your prayers. And one thing I am so thankful for is when God allowed us to come here, to this church. You all know I started at the other church when I was 18 months old. I started life there pretty much. And almost 4 years ago, God allowed us to transfer here. And because of the love for all of you, I am now a mama. I'm a Mama E. I'm a grandma. I'm a great-grandma. Some of you don't call me anything. It doesn't matter. I have so much love in my heart for every one of you that is in this church. God loves you more than I do. But I'm so thankful for what God has given me. And you learn through life to trust Him. Don't ever forget that word. Trust, trust, trust. Because when you worry about everything, it doesn't do any good. It doesn't do any good, because God has it anyway. We waste our time worrying about things. I know I was a worry bug. So was my mother. I got it, honestly, worried about so many things until finally it dawned on me. God, you know what's going to take place anyway. Why am I worrying about it? Give it to Him. He'll take care of you. And our life at this age, I had to say, it might be different than what yours is going to be. But whatever God gives you in life, accept it that He trusts you. He trusts you to take care. He trusts you to depend on Him. There's nothing in this world that you could ever want. I have never, ever, ever wanted to turn back. I got a dose of God when I was little. I've never wanted to turn back to the world. Never in my life have I thought that I don't want this way. It's in my heart. And I'll tell you, it can't be on the surface of your heart. It has to be way down deep in your heart. that you have the love that you have for God. He'll take us through anything. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, because it probably won't be easy. But he will take you through it. And with his help, and you trust in him, you'll make it through. And I'm so thankful for this son that I've never had. He's a great help to us. We know that he loves us. When we came here, we needed love from people. We had, like I said, our girls, but our girls were involved with their children and everything. They was doing nothing to shun us. Their life was full. But it's always going to be full of something. We can always make excuses also. But God gives us what he can trust us with. Financially, he will give you what he can trust you with. Think on that. He'll give you what he can trust you with. And this may not be the Mother's Day message that it should have been, but it was what God gave to me. And one night I couldn't sleep. And it was just for hours laying there and just thinking and God talking to me. And I thought, God, I'm so thankful you didn't call me to preach. And if I had to do this, lay this way every time I was going to have to speak, and just hours and hours and hours trying to get something, I feel sorry for ministers when they do that. No wonder some of them keep a message and use it 2 or 3 times. But that's all I have for today. But just remember the words that I said. Trust him in everything that you do. Trust him. That's the best you can do. And he'll make the best out of you and give your life to him.